If I want to come in on Friday, I can't come in on Friday.
I know you can.
I did it before.
Like
I can't for what this nigga say. No. On Friday, I come in. I come in this Friday.
Like
nigga,
if you got a friend in the building.
I will come here this Friday if I wanted to.
I bet you
Friday, he can't. He not gonna tell me nothing. He not gonna tell me nothing.
Queenzflip threatens to come in on the day he's not supposed to. Yes, on a recent episode of the Joe Budden podcast, Queenzflip laid out that he will come in even though he's told not to. Now, this comes on the heels of a demotion from the podcast.
You can sit me down on Tuesdays too.
Flip has a lot going on outside of here that I acknowledge. Like, I acknowledge him as a content creator outside of what goes on at this network. If there's time off to be had, he's at the top of my list to get it.
Where he was directed to only appear on the Wednesday episode of the Joe Budden podcast. This comes on the heels of awkward tension, on-air clashes.
Yo, you touching my computer?
Yo, why you playing?
Like, today, whatever gripes you got to say it today.
It's just real life. It's just real life, man. When you hear people that you love, you say keep what?
Huh?
I think that you think that you don't need me anymore, so you're just gonna say what you want. I'm gonna tell you that you're gonna bite off more than you could chew when it comes to that with me.
And the arrival of a new co-host, Mona. Now, Mona is the newest hire of the Joe Budden Network and someone who is the eye of Joe Budden. He has been trying to get her for quite some time, but now that she's finally arrived, she got into immediate clashings with Queenzflip.
Mona,
it's a myth about everybody.
We got Patreon. No, we got notes. We got Patreon.
Don't be rude, bro.
Let's save it for Patreon.
Yeah. Anyway,
talk about that on Patreon.
Flip, can you stop interrupting?
Yeah, you so jealous.
You hit your subject. Right there. Go ahead. No, for
And after those clashings, it would appear that Joe Budden wanted to separate the two, not just because of the clashings on air, but because of clashings that may have happened behind the scenes.
First episode, we're going to see how red that face gets.
I make no. Cry.
I'm so nice to
I'm quick. Because Mark ain't going to always be there. Let's move on.
Whatever you've ever told me, you know ain't never come out. And whatever ever happened that I witnessed to, I ain't never said. I can't nobody up here say nothing.
So, with Queenzflip arriving on the podcast less, many like me would think that he was lessened in his role. But he seems to think that that is not the case. And now, on the most recent episode that he was on, he says that he can come in when he wants to. Now, this is a major problem because Queenzflip doesn't realize the leverage that he's lost. Another key point of this exchange was Ice mentioning how the demotion has happened before where he didn't have to come in.
Just so you know, he's done this before. No, it was Flip had the clause where he could, and he was like, yo, I told Flip to go home. He don't have to be here.
Yes, I do remember that. I remember when Joe Budden used to tell Flip, yo, don't come in for certain episodes or don't come in for the day, and Flip would show up anyway. Now, that was a steadfast disrespect of the organizational structure of the Joe Budden Network, and sometimes I wonder how well the Joe Budden Network is run. It looks from afar like they make a ton of money because even when things go bad behind the scenes, it still helps the podcast in general because the drama leaks on air and people get interested in that. But when you look at things like the phone usage, people walking in and out of cameras, the arrival of latecomers, sometimes I wonder, is there's some type of accountability that goes on. People seem unprepared, but once again, they seem to figure out a way. And I think because they dump so much money into the production in terms of cameras and stuff like that, that it works out. But it doesn't seem like Joe drops the hammer much on the cast. And that could be because Joe's his own worst enemy. I mean, this guy has gotten into so much trouble by, the whole incident in the neighbor's hallway. And also, he's the one that breaks a lot of the rules in terms of phone usage. And he's the one that has major ADD of the mic, cutting people off when they're making a point. So I think the rest of the cast is like, if he does it, why can't I do it? And that's what happens on air. Then another key point of this exchange happens. Flip makes fun of everyone doing double the work while he gets paid the same.
You gotta do double the work and get. I came up. I'm not even mad at y'all.
Is Flip playing with us? I mean, he has to know that the fact that he's on the show less means that he's not as much of a priority. This is essentially Joe Budden communicating, I have added someone so important that I don't need you for the other day. And not only that, this person is so important to me that I want her to be solo. I don't want you to bother her. And I don't think you have the capability to be able to coexist with her. Another thing he did there was, it was kind of a slap in the face of the rest of the cast, right? Ish and Ice often, they always get positioned to me as the people who get paid the least. I mean, I remember when Flip said, y'all ain't really like me. Y'all don't have a pre-existing history in media like I do. And same for Mark. Mark and Flip have both made comments where they be on some, we mean more because we are, the entertainment folks. You guys are just kind of grandfathered in. Remember that grandfathered in comment Flip made? He essentially revealed that, Joe Budden's going to keep these dudes around just because they his friends, not because they're good on air. And that's what he communicated to me. So with this comment, he communicated much more of the same. Like, I get a special type of treatment just because the way I get down on air, while y'all have to work more hours to be paid less. Oh boy, it's getting crazy. And I think that's a little crazy because Ish, even though he's moody, he doesn't have the entertainment streak like Flip and Mark. He's a real big part of the show. A lot of people tune in for Ish. He gives a certain perspective that isn't really represented. He's not able to argue things because he doesn't research well, but I think he represents that kind of conservative East Coaster that's aging, which Flip and Mark do not bring. Once again, Flip would mention to come in on the day he's not supposed to, and Joe Budden was very quiet to me. He wasn't really playing into the joke. It seemed like more of a, I hope he's not serious. I hope he doesn't really come in on that day. Because what if he does come in on a Friday and that messes up the whole vibe of the podcast? Mona doesn't like Flip. She doesn't like him. And what if she starts acting different on air? I have a theory that Mona is actually very sensitive, and just because she jokes on people and is very funny in doing so doesn't necessarily mean that she's not sensitive. Most comedians, they're always sensitive. Like, we think because they know how to joke on people, they can take a joke. And you kind of see it in most of the comedic minds on the show. Flip, Joe, and Mona, they can't really take a joke. Like, I know a lot of people try to run with the narrative that Joe Budden has thick skin, but he only has thick skin because he runs the show and can get people to move past it. The sign to me that he's not as thick-skinned as other people like to claim is that he'll bring an argument back just to win it again if he gets cooked. That's how serious it is. Now, another key part of this is Mark. He's continuously running with the storyline that Flip is delusional for how he's trying to paint this demotion as some sort of big come up.
Right. Working twice as hard for twice the pay.
And Mark is largely right. I don't know how Flip is reframing this. I think the reason he's able to reframe it is because he believes, since in the past he's been faced with similar situations, that he is navigating this the way that it's the same exact thing. But it's not the same exact thing because Melissa Ford's gone. And a large part of why people believe, whether it is true or not, that Melissa Ford left is because you made it uncomfortable for her on air. So if there's another co-host that comes and you make it uncomfortable for them, the first measure they're going to execute is, all right, let's separate them. But if you choose to come in on another day that you're suspended, well, essentially suspended, then you're messing up the pecking order. You're making decisions as if you run things when you don't run anything here. This is run by Joe Budden, Ian, and so on and so forth. But let me know what you think about this threat by Flip. I believe that Flip just thinks that this is the same old JBP that he used to work for. Like, I can do as I please because I bring so much value to the network. In his head, he's like, man, I brought live streaming. Oh, man, I brought energy. Oh, man, when this was first started, when I got here, it was so slow. But then I came and I saw the YouTube numbers come up. I have real tangible impact. I get more views than Mark when he got here. I believe this is how he's thinking. But let me know what you think in the comments. I also wanted to talk about something I found interesting. Apparently, the Need to Know podcast is going on a break.
know what I'm saying? And we'll be back soon. We'll be back, hopefully. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Thank you, bro, man. I know it's been a wild journey, man.
I don't know when we gonna be back.
So I find that really crazy. And I'm not trying to shoot at them at all. I just think that it's really hard for podcasters out here. And the reason that it's hard is because as a podcaster, if you find something that you do that is more profitable than your podcast, you're probably going to quit your podcast, which is why a lot of podcasters stop. It's not that their podcast isn't successful. It's that they have something else that makes money, whether it be a regular job, whether it be another job in media. And I think that's what Savon and Alex are going through. The logistics of executing a podcast are just too much. And they probably have jobs at Sirius and the Joe Budden podcast. And they also are running the studio, which is why they're largely choosing to stop this podcast again. This is like their third start and stop, which to me means that the podcast isn't profitable. Most podcasts aren't, unless you're signed to a network that will find ads for you and pay you, which is how some podcasts that don't get any views are staying afloat. So watch out. We lost another one. We don't know when the Need to Know will be back. And I think their strategy of putting podcasts on Patreon failed because nobody was watching it. All right, y'all. Let me know what you think both about the Flip situation and the end of Need to Know again. And follow me on my Patreon, The Stop TV. I just put a podcast there. I also put some content there that was from the Spaces. So a lot of stuff is happening. We're still humming along. This is Nanny from The Stop. Peace.